Hi, welcome to this demo of IBM Spectrum Protect Plus version 10.1.6 and this new capability to customize the vSnaps network interface controllers to be able to decide if those networks will be used for backup and restores and or replication. So if you have multiple networks with different isolated subnets with different hypervisors on each of those, or with different application workloads or file systems or containers, in previous versions of Spectrum Protect Plus, you used to have to set up multiple vSnaps if you wanted to have those on individual networks. Now, in version 10.1.6, you can set up a single vSnap with multiple networks, and then you can configure which network is used for backups and restores and which are used for replication. So let's go ahead and see how this works. Once you've logged on to the IBM Spectrum Protect Plus user interface, on the left-hand side, you'll want to click System Configuration, Backup Storage, and then Disk. This will take you to the page where you can see your vSnaps. In this case, we have 2 vSnaps already registered. If you click on the tool icon, and then if you click on the Network tab, you'll now see the 3 network interfaces that have been registered. Now, each of these 3 interfaces has a different IP address on 3 different network subnets. And so each is isolated from each other and might even have different hypervisors on one network or applications on another. And you might even have a dedicated network between these 2 vSnaps. By default, each of these networks will be enabled to do backups and restores and replications. Now notice that when we say backups, this actually covers backups and restores. The replication checkbox is for incoming replication data. So if you enable that, you will allow incoming replication data via this NIC. The NIC used for outgoing replication will be chosen based on the network configuration and the operating system network prioritization settings. Now notice over here we have a I with a circle around it. This is our management network, and it's going to be used for all the control commands and management commands between the Spectrum Protect Plus server and vSnap server. And this network cannot be edited. It was set up by default when you registered that vSnap. And so the management traffic will go over whatever address has the I next to it. If, for instance, this network was slow, then you could turn off the backup and restore and just have your management information going across it. If you take a look at that vSnap, you'll see the network that was originally set up, which is being used as the management network. Okay, so if we go back in and look at these vSnaps again, so you can choose which networks you want to use for backup and restore, and which networks you only want to use for replication. You can have both set, or you can turn them both off. Do note that you must at least have one network set up for backup and restores and one network set up for replication. Otherwise, you won't be able to save these configurations. So if you do want to exclude a network from backup restore, simply unclick it. If you want to exclude a network from being used for replication, unclick it. If multiple networks are enabled for backup and restore or for replication, then Spectrum Protect Plus will choose which network to use, and Spectrum Protect Plus will use the first network that it can connect with. And so this might be dependent on what application has access to which network. There is no priority settings on saying use this network first. So in order to save the settings, you simply click on Save, and then click on OK. If you were to add an additional network interface controller to either a physical or virtual vSnap server, then Spectrum Protect Plus will automatically see that new NIC and set the defaults to allowing both backup and restore and replication. So here you see we're going into our vSnap server, which happens to be on VMware. We're going to add another adapter. In this case, we're going to call it wired connection 3. We're going to allow for automatic dynamic IP address to be generated on that. So now if we go back into Spectrum Protect Plus, you'll see that new fourth NIC that was added in, and you'll see that by default it is set up to allow for both backup and restore and for replication. You could then go in and choose if you wanted to explicitly disable either backup and restore or replication on that network. Now remember, you will want to explicitly configure both your primary and secondary sites and the NICs underneath those. If you did have a vSnap that was down level, you will not have the ability to explicitly configure that vSnap for backup, restore, or replication traffic. So here you can see that these two vSnaps are at version 10.1.6. If we were to add in a vSnap that was at version 10.1.5, for instance, so we'll go ahead and point that out to a 10.1.5 vSnap. We'll save that, click OK. And now when we look at that new vSnap, you'll see that it's at version 10.1.5. When we go in to edit it through the toolbar icon, you'll get a message that says does not support the configuration of individual network interface controllers, and we will have defaulted to enabling both the backup and restore as well as the replication. And even though you don't see the check bars over there, you can't check anything and you can't save it. But by default, we did enable backup, restore, and replication. And you can read about that in our Learn More if you want information about back level vSnaps. Now do note that once you upgrade that vSnap to 10.1.6, then you will have the ability to customize those backup and restore or replication settings. Another thing to note, back in version 10.1.3, we introduced network throttling at the site level. So if you go into System Configurations and then Site, and then for instance, if we look at this primary site and we edit it, you can then click on Enable Throttling. The thing to note is that throttling happens at a site level. It applies to all the vSnaps and all of the NICs underneath that on that site. Another thing to note is that it applies to only the data that's flowing out of the site. And this will be replication, copy to object storage, or copy to archive data. And the reason for that is that these functions are often going over a WAN to a remote site. So customers might want to be able to throttle and set the timing so that it doesn't interfere with other applications in their environment that are using that same WAN. So in summary, Spectrum Protect Plus version 10.1.6 introduced the ability to customize the network interface controllers underneath a vSnap to be able to enable or disable backups and restores, and or enable or disable replications on that particular NIC. Thank you very much.